Hi guys. Oh shit. I just spilled half of my tea on my pants, but that's alright. They're just home pants. So again, hi, welcome back. If I'm a little bit out of breath, this is because this episode is starting kind of chaotic because I got the feeling that I might have a fever, so I'm generally not 100% performing today, but I think I wanted to film this today because it's been a while, and I think if I postpone this any longer, there's going to pile up even more. And I also really wanted to chat to you guys, and I missed filming these episodes, but I need to see if I need to take any breaks and cut some things out. I'm getting hot by the minute sitting here. But I just measured my temperature. I don't have any fever, otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here. And yeah, so if you're here for the knitting, skip ahead. I talk first about a little bit of my life, and then I talk about the finished objects and works in progresses, etc. So maybe I need to reintroduce myself. There's continuously some new faces on this channel. So yeah, my name is Johanna and I'm the person behind this knitting channel. And I live in North Germany at the west coast, and I talk obviously about knitting on here and some stories about my life which often end up taking over of the channel or these episodes. Yeah, I've been sick now, I think for 3 weeks or something, so I couldn't film any episodes the last 2 weekends as I originally planned. This, yeah, was kind of disappointing for me as well. I'm getting really warm here. Maybe I should just take off the hat. This could be a solution for the problem, but I think I'm getting warm and cold all the time, so yeah. I was feeling better the last 2 days, and I've been also really irresponsibly continuously working. So I think I've been only off work once, one day, and the other days I still went to work because we've been really busy and I had to plan a conference. And actually event planning is not part of my usual day-to-day task, but this was actually really important, and it was also the first real big thing I did on my own since I started the job, so it was really important to me to do this well. And also no one else was responsible for it, so if I wasn't doing it, it kind of wouldn't be happening. So yeah, but I've been knitting on and off, kind of. I mean, being busy and stressed at work also meant that I had a lot of evening events, so I couldn't knit in the evenings. But also trying to get healthy on the weekends also meant I couldn't basically do nothing else than just sit on the sofa and knit. But even sometimes that wasn't even possible anymore, so it was a kind of a mix. Sometimes I felt very productive knit-wise, sometimes I felt like a week passed by and I couldn't do anything knitting-wise. Also, I really realized that when I am stressed and I can put on my glasses again. When I'm stressed and yeah, everything gets kind of overwhelming, I tend to gravitate to more less complicated patterns, and especially like I can't be bothered with things like picking up stitches for sleeves or things like that. I just want to do like stockinette around and stuff like that. And so I actually, because all my bigger projects, I knitted to a point where I needed to pick up stitches or do something more complicated. So that meant I went back and picked up some of my smaller projects that I haven't knitted on for months. I think some of them I last knitted on in November or something. So that was actually kind of nice because I haven't felt the need or the wish to knit on them for a long time, and I thought, oh, maybe they will never get finished or I will just fork them, but actually some of them I finished now, so that was kind of nice in that way. But on the other hand, with the bigger projects I like garment knitting, I didn't make that much of a progress as I wished, obviously. I think we can start with getting into my finished objects, which aren't that many because I need to reknit them. Because the only thing I finished, and it looks kind of not great like this, I should have gotten the bow, is my hat. And it's self-drafted kind of. It's based on a lot of patterns. I bought or downloaded a lot of free hat patterns because I'm trying to knit the perfect hat, beanie, whatever, because I'm wearing them a lot. I'm always cold at my head and head. Yeah, I'm always this hat, not that hat. I'm always cold at my head, and yeah, I just like to wear them. I think they kind of fit my style. And I don't know if you remember it, but I started this one in October or something, maybe even earlier. This is knit with Sandnes Garn Sunday in deep red basically. And I held 2 strands together, so you could just use double Sunday, so it's a DK weight, and it's a double folded brim, which is then knit together and then folded over, so it's kind of 3 times folded, and then just a 2x2 rip and then knitted together. So, and for the decreases of the crown, I got the pattern of the Bayou beanie by Vitre Design, I think. And so, because I really liked how the decreases looked on their beanie, but they don't have a double folded brim, so I did that on my own. But I will just put it on and you will see the problem straight away. It's kind of too short. I mean, it is quite hipstery as a trendy piece, and I mean, I wear my hats quite short. I do have that kind of hipstery look, but this is too short. This is even too short for me. I would like to have it at least like going like touching the tip of my ears, and it's like at least 2 or 4 centimeters longer, and I think it is that short that it feels like it's slipping off like that. And so yeah, I need to go back and until I start the decreases and add some length. So basically the length, not all of this, but this would be the length that is perfect, but I want it to fit snug, and I want the double folded brim because I think this thick brim just suits my head shape the best. But yeah, it needs some length, so it has at least some function, because yeah, I mean, I don't need my hats to cover my ears. I think it's alright. For example, when I ride my bike, I always have the big headphones on, so that way my ears are covered anyways. and I like the style of these like short hipster hats, but this is too short. So yeah, I need to go back and add some length, and this is already blocked, so I like blocked the heck out of it, and I couldn't make it any longer. So yeah, but I think when I edit I don't know, 3 centimeters or something, I will have found the recipe for the perfect beanie, hopefully, and I can wear this. And I usually not a red person. I think I haven't mentioned that before. Maybe I mentioned it before, but I think in accessories it's quite cool. I also have like a more burgundy red beret, and I really like wearing that as well. And I think the red really fits with a lot of other colors I wear, even though I think I wouldn't wear a red garment. But yeah, as accessories, I think it mixes up my wardrobe quite well, especially since you can't always, like with this hat I struggle a lot. For example, I was wearing this sweater before, and if you wear like this with this, it's like it's too beigey. I really don't like this all beige trend. It's too much, and wearing this with this I really like, and I think it would look really cool, but I need to finish this for that. I think I can put this back on now, because I'm getting cold again. Yeah, this is kind of my only finished object, because the other one is only half finished. I also finished my scrappy DK socks. So this is my yeah, I started this in November, I think, when I had a event with my boss. It was like my first all-day event, and we went there by car, and I thought, okay, I need something to knit on when I'm sitting like for hours in the car with my boss. So I cast this on the evening before, but I didn't knit on it after this day. So yeah, but this was kind of perfect for being sick. So this is like all scrappy yarn. I think it's all superwash DK, probably sock yarn. I'm pretty sure this is sock yarn. This is probably Regia 6 ply. And this Tweedy yarn, you can also get it in 4 ply, because I also have it in 4 ply. And so it's like these, like, yeah, classical tweed yarn. And yeah, I just did stripes 1 by 1 ribbing at the top, and then I did, so this is not blocked yet, but I did like 3 by 1 ribbing for the cuff. This part, is it the cuff? Yeah, and then continued until the toe. And at some point, at this point, I ran here out of the blue, so I just continued without the blue stripes, which is kind of sad, because I really like the blue element in it. And at this point I ran out of the brown and of the tweed beigey color. So, but I still had like a darker brown and some other cream left, but this cream doesn't have these speckles in it. But I think you can't really, I mean, it's a sock, and I just wanted to use up scraps, and I used up this color, and this color, so it served its purpose. So it's perfect. And yeah, the second one is not I finished yet. I'm at the at the toe, so nearly finished. And yeah, I still have that much left of the white and this much left of the brown. So yeah, still a lot of yarn left for future scrappy yarn projects. And yeah, I think this is the first DK sock I ever knit, because usually I do it on 2.5 or 2 millimeter needles. So yeah, I knit this on 4 millimeter needles, and I didn't use a pattern or anything. I cast on 44 stitches and it fits perfectly. I mean, this is superwash yarn, I think. I'm pretty sure. I don't have the yarn labels anymore, ball label, and but it feels superwashed, and I think if I block it, it will grow a little bit, but then I think it's alright. Yeah, and I like them because I think they are going to be very useful, because as a late birthday gift I just need to take them off, these socks from a friend, and actually this is the first time I ever got something knitted as a gift, and which is kind of surprising, but at the same time kind of not, because I'm the knitter in all of my friend groups, but yeah, some of my friends started knitting the last 2 years now as well, and one of them knitted me these socks. I won't come closer because I've been wearing them the last month continuously, which also yeah, resulted in me finishing these, because I need an extra, like I need something to switch it up, because I can't only wear these, because these are also DK socks, and yeah, I use them a lot. I think they're one of the most useful presents I ever got, and I was very touched. I mean, obviously I can knit them myself, but that's kind of not the purpose, I guess. And I think as a knitter you rarely get anything knitted gifted, and because people always think, yeah, you can just knit it yourself, or you then just get yarn. And I mean, I'm over the moon if I get yarn gifted as well, but obviously I do enjoy it a lot, and I'm very happy about I appreciate it a lot, maybe even more when someone knits something for me, because I do know how much work goes into that, and maybe sometimes you don't want to knit everything for yourself. So these are actually very special to me, and yeah, they get a lot of use. So maybe I need more DK socks, and especially because they get done so fast, and I have so much like DK scrap yarn flying around, so I think there are going to be a lot of like random striped DK socks flying around here in the future. So yeah, and I really like the colors. Like, this is my current favorite color palette, so why not? So yeah, we are really fast from finished object into works in progress land, I guess, and continuing with that, I made huge progress, you could say, on the cardigan number 4 that I'm gift knitting, and I'm close to finishing it. I have no idea how to show this. It's always the same. But at least it has sleeves now. At least one and another. So I don't know. So yeah, one sleeve, and I don't know, and a little bit of the second one, and this is how it's looking. And I think the color, oh, this is really close how it's actually looking. So yeah, because usually the color blurs out a lot. So this is the one strand I'm holding it with, and the second strand of the drop brushed alpaca silk, and Filcolana Alva in green tea. And yeah, it makes the, yeah, just the middle like muted sage color, and but when I take pictures or show it on the camera, it blurs out so much. So it's definitely a pale sage color, but it's not white or anything. So I think it looks like it has no color on the screen. So yeah, and it's such a fluffy fabric. I think you definitely can see it, and it's so light. I think already like 4 people had to try it on for me, because the person I'm knitting it for, she has very different dimensions in comparison to me. So I mean, I can fit it, I can try it on, but especially like sleeve and body length, it doesn't help at all if I try it on and see how it fits on me. So yeah, but I'm nearly finished. Yeah, I did like 3 buttonholes here, and the pattern doesn't explain how the buttonholes are done. There's a link to something, but it's not descripted. No, it's not. There's no description in the pattern, so you kind of have to figure that on your own, out on your own. It's a raglan construction, and yeah, it's all in half fisherman's rib, and at least that's what the pattern says. And yeah, for me it's not brioche because it is not knitted with a yarn over, but with knitting in the stitch below, which is for me more difficult than in comparison to brioche. But yeah, I'm close to finishing it. I have to say the sleeves were the easiest part and the fastest from all of it, and the most enjoyable. And but yeah, the body dragged along quite long. Yeah, so but I'm seeing light at the end of the tunnel. I'm close to finishing it, and I'm knitting a second one, which I will get to later, and I think that one will be easier because the things that I was struggling with this one are easier the second time, and also the yarn is a little bit more engaging than this one. I think the drops brushed alpaca silk, because the pattern is written for 3 strands of mohair, so, and I knitting this with the drops brushed alpaca silk and a strand of lace of this one. And I mean, I think I'm meeting gauge. I need to see after blocking, because I think the texture is growing quite a lot, but I think it looks quite good from measuring right now. But I know from a other cardigan I knit in brioche with also drops brushed alpaca silk. The brushed alpaca silk is it's not felting, but especially for textured knitting, it kind of the texture kind of loses its definition over time, but it also like doesn't have any peeling problems, for example, and I don't think it loses the texture so much that it's not visible or anything. It's not that strong, but I think if you compare the pictures of her mohair, so the pattern is by PetiteKnit, no, by my favorite things knitwear, but if you compare her stitch definition of her 3 strands of mohair in comparison to mine, you already can see that it looks different, but I don't mind it, and I think it's very warm and fluffy, and also it's like a fraction of the price in comparison if I would knit this with 3 strands of mohair. So I think it's a good way to reduce the price if you want to knit a fluffy cardigan like this. And yeah, I have ordered buttons for this, and I'm really excited how this looks. The friend I'm knitting this for, she has like a more romantic and feminine style, but at the same time she's also really into like sporty 80s 90s retro clothing. So since this I think is already like with the yarn and the pastel-y color, and when you wear these sleeves, because they are very balloony and very wide at the beginning as well, at the raglan increases, you get kind of a puff sleeve. I think this is a very feminine cardigan, and so I thought, okay, I don't want to put on girly buttons, like I don't want to put pearl or gold buttons on it, but I thought in the beginning to knit a button, like a cover of the button, but I think it's kind of like, I think the fabric of the cardigan is already very out there. It's like a very, there's a lot of like, I mean, it's very light, but it's like very fluffy and plushy, and putting like knitted buttons on there, it's very fabricy. I don't know how to explain it otherwise, but I think putting a different material on there would actually be really nice and kind of give it a contrast. And so I decided against knitting covers for the buttons, and so I wanted some vintagey buttons to give it not a modern but like more of a retro look, and I found these like yellowy buttons with a sage stripe on it, and I hope they fit the vibe. I am not sure yet. I ordered them from Vintage, and I hope they are not too heavy, because if the buttons are too heavy, they will drag down the button band, and that would be kind of, that wouldn't work. So we will see, but I also have found some other buttons through Etsy that I saved, so I still have some time, and I can just order them if, yeah, the first ones won't work out. I have some other ideas as well, but I think, yeah, I really like not only like thinking about the garment and the yarn, but like the whole composition of everything. Like the same with the friend that I'm knitting the striped overload polo for, like thinking so much in detail how it would work with their wardrobe and how it fit to their character and everyday life and stuff like that. I really enjoy gift knitting. It's such a special feature about knitting for me, and I might even enjoy it more than just knitting for myself, even though obviously I like having things in my wardrobe. But yeah, I'm also having a lot of yarn left over. I still have 2 of these left over that I don't probably need, but I already know what I might do with these, which I will talk about later. And I have so much of this left, and I have no idea what I will do with this. Continuing works in progress. My other big project right now is my so-called Bauhaus sweater, and yeah, it's getting some shape, I would say. I posted a little whip parade on my Instagram, but I don't really know if you guys watching my YouTube videos and the people who follow on my Instagram channel are overlapping, or if it's just a different crowd, because yeah, that sometimes is the case, that not everyone who's watching podcasts is like does have Instagram and the other way around. So I don't know, but yeah, so kind of need to carry this one. So we have a collar, but it's not finished yet, so I'm missing the blue here. So there's going to be 2 rows of blue before double folding it inside and knitting it into the inside. So the collar is still on masking wires and is not finished yet. And then we have the body finished, but not totally finished. And obviously the sleeves are missing. So let's talk about the hem. And this is going to be complicated to show. So maybe I need to move closer. So what I did in the end is I split this in half, and then I started the ribbing with the blue. Then I did some of the gray again, started with the yellow, started with the gray, green, and then I did split. I mean, you can see what I did. I don't need to explain it to you. I mean, you guys, you are not stupid. So, and obviously, if I couldn't do this in the round because the other side is also split in half. So if I would have did this in the round, I would have needed to carry the colors, like I would have needed to carry the yellow all the way in round to start on this side again with the yellow. So what I did instead is I split the hem. I did a split in the hem, but just on the one side, and I already started here at the bottom sewing it up. So this is why it is not split all the way anymore. But oh, I'm losing my needle. But yeah, this way I knit back and forth and not in the round at the hem, and it worked out fine. This also meant that, for example, for some parts, for example, for the gray part, I had 2 different balls attached, and because they weren't connected, like this part, for example, because this part had a ball connected and this part had a ball connected, and yeah. Is this the front side? Yeah, I really like it. I'm really happy with my color choices, which I will come to next, and I'm really happy with the striping as well. You can see all the ends hanging out. I think in all I did like a 10 centimeter ribbing. It's 1 by 1, just standard, how the Marseille pattern says here to do it. And I mean, you kind of are probably wondering what happened to your original color choices. Or maybe these were already the color choices I put in, but I was originally planning doing other color choices. So the blue is the blue from my halibut sweater. It's the BC Garn Semilla Melange held with a blue mohair I still had, and the yellow was the Sandnes Garn Sunday held with the Knitting for Olive Dusty Mohair, no, Dusty Honey, but the mohair, Silk Mohair. And I mean, I talked about all of the yarn last time, but then I switched it up and I was originally planning to put in some red there, but I decided against it because a friend of mine said with the stripes it reminded her of a retro red jumper, and I was like, that's not kind of my style, and it really reminded me of with like these 3 base colors of a like not Tom Taylor, what is it, like Tommy Hilfiger, like 90s vibe kind of sweater, which is really cool, but it wasn't really what I was going for. I will insert a picture of the jumper or the vest I was originally having the inspiration from for this design, and that was more earthy colors and not that much like these she had primary colors in her hand knitted garments as well, but I don't know, they were like more earthy because they were not tonal. I don't know how to explain it, but they had like tweedy bits in it. So I don't know, I wasn't feeling the red anymore, and I was also always thinking if I wanted to integrate a green, because she had greens integrated in it and I really liked it, but I didn't have a green in my stash, and the idea behind this was to use like stash yarns that I already had, and then I really wanted to integrate a brown like this, and I was pretty sure with that one, and I had a brown similar to this color flying around here, but it was an Aran weight or something, so it wasn't working for the jumper. And I was going to Hamburg for a trip with friends, and I wanted to hit up a yarn store anyways, and I said, okay, I will check if they have something that fits to this color palette. I will get some yarn for this, and actually I will get, these are colors that I use for other projects as well. It's not like the red that I need to use up, or that I need, it's hard for me to find projects that I need to use up for it. But so I went to, I never know how to pronounce this yarn, Milis. It's the best yarn store in Hamburg. It's the letters are for my local yarn store, but how do you say that? Like my English native speakers, like, I mean, my, you know, like the letters for, like the short letters for my local yarn store, MYLYS, but if you combine them, if you want to say that word in a hashtag or something, how do you say that? Like, how do you say this? Like, if you want to use the short term for my local yarn store, I don't know how to say this. Milis, it sounds all wrong. But they had the Isager yarn, and I always wanted to try out that yarn, but I mean, it's quite expensive, and they had amazing colors. And they actually had this yarn in the perfect colorway. And what is amazing, and I think you can kind of see it, it is a brown and it's called walnut, but it has like these gray blue speckles in it. And yeah, I think you can kind of see it even though it's blurry. And it's amazing because, I mean, I have this blue in here and it kind of just matches up and kind of like continues the color of the blue in the brown. And yeah, it's perfect. And then I found this green, and it's so crazy, and it's the color is called lime. And what is so amazing about this, it has like yellow speckles in it. It's just the same yellow, it's the same yellow that is actually in the Sandnes Garn Sunday. So I was like, okay, I need to get these two colors because they actually continue the colors that I already have in here. And what is also so amazing about this is Isager Tweed. So I think it's 70% wool and 30% mohair. So what I was also kind of worried, I didn't want to get like another two colors of wool and another color of two colors of mohair, which would add additional cost and leave me with additional yarn scraps, which I don't want to have. And so because this is knit with one strand of kind of a spot weight and a strand of mohair. So yeah, but this actually has mohair in it already. And this is Sport to DK already. And what is interesting, if you show this is so thin and it looks like a fingering or lace. For example, if I hold these two next to each other, they look like really similar, and this is a lace weight. And what is interesting is that this kind of blooms massively, because I was really worried about the gauge, because there's not a gauge on there. Like, it recommends a needle size, but it doesn't really say like what gauge you will meet with the needle. And when I started knitting this with one strand, I was like, okay, this is quite a huge difference. Like you can really feel the difference in the fabric. Like, it feels way thinner than the fabric I'm knitting with the one strand of the gray yarn held with a mohair. And for that I blocked, or I just put into water a strand of the Isager yarn, and if you can already see how much it blooms and it widens in comparison to the dry yarn. And I don't know if it's the wool content or it's the way it's spun or plied, but it's amazing. It grows so much. And yeah, so I think this is something you really need to keep in mind when working with this yarn. But the colors assortment, color choices they have of the Isager Tweed is amazing. I want to have all of their colors. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this is looking, and I can't wait to finish the sleeves and the neck. I just can't find the time right now, which makes me really sad because I just want to wear it. And I actually got 2 skeins of the brown because for somehow I just miscalculated and thought I need a lot of yarn of this. Obviously I still have a lot of this left over, but like I said, this is really pretty yarn, and I will definitely find a purpose for this. So yeah, that's that. Okay, next up is, oh shit, is this one, and it's another cardigan number 4 for my sister, and I finally cast this on. And I think if you saw me sorting my yarn stash, you probably have seen it already. And I sadly didn't make any progress because this is really one of the more complicated knits right now, because I'm still in the increase part of the raglan. So, but yeah, it always looks amazing when I show it. Yeah, this is how it's looking, the beginning of it. You can see the neckband, and this part and this part are where the sleeves are, no, the front side, and yeah, this is the teeny tiny front, and this is actually the sleeve part, which is increasing slowly. So yeah, as I already said, I think this yarn combo is already so much more engaging. I am knitting this with the hand-dyed Silk Mohair from Berlin Purl. She is a Berlin-based hand dyer, and with drops brushed alpaca silk, the same color as the first cardigan number 4. And yeah, it's going quite well. And I have to say, even though this is obviously not something I would wear, I'm really enjoying knitting with these colors, and especially in these like gray months, it's kind of yeah, cheering me up to have something so colorful, and yeah, it's kind of nice, change of scenery. I think that's all of my knitting, and that means we're going into acquisitions or knitting plans, is it more? I have a few of my acquisitions lined up here. Let's start with the most expensive one, which is this one. I posted about it already on my Instagram a long time ago, I think in the beginning of January, but yeah, I didn't film an episode. So I got the knitting book in Knitting Life by Marinne Isager, and I adore this book. I really got this for a specific pattern, which I will insert here. I think it's called a Scottish check sweater, and I really liked that when I saw the pictures online. And then I looked up the rest of the designs online, and I fell in love with most of them, First of all, the photography in this is 100% my aesthetic. These like pictures in the dunes on the beach, it's like 10 out of 10. And so I thought, okay, if because I went to Hamburg to meet with friends, and we had like a lovely weekend in the woods with a lot of knitting, and I wanted to stop by the knitting shop before that to get the yarns, but also to get this and check it out in real life. And what I really like about this, because most of the pattern in here are inspired by her former designs and her knitting history. So she has like a lot of like you have a lot of like retro designs in here, like not the patterns per se, but yeah, like just pictures. And she describes how she gets re-inspired by these patterns, and I think it's so interesting how everything comes back from time to time. And I think it's really interesting to see how she found her way into knitting and her personal history. I think she shares a lot of private details about her life, and I find it really inspiring. Also, like, I mean, these vibes from the 60s and 70s, don't get me started. Yeah, I mean, I got this on Friday, and I read the whole book on a Saturday afternoon. I mean, it's not most of it is like pictures and the patterns in itself, and I mean, it's not that much text, but it's definitely some yeah, just chapters of her life, which I wasn't expecting when I bought the book, and I found it really inspiring and interesting, and I definitely can recommend it. It's definitely more on a expensive side for a knitting book. I think it was nearly 50 euros or 45 euros, but I think the patterns are great. I would like to knit every one of them, and they are definitely a little bit more advanced if I compare it to PetiteKnit or My Favorite Things Knitwear. It's definitely not your everyday stockinette pattern, but I think they are great, and I really like her aesthetic. And I mean, the yarns are beautiful anyways, but I think I will definitely check out their design brand out in the future more. And I think it makes such a beautiful coffee table book anyways. So yeah, I showed you already the 2 yarns that I got. I also shared in my stash reorganizing tour video that I was planning on getting yarn from the woolentwine January update, but I wasn't able to get the yarn that I wanted because I really wanted to get her, I never can remember how it's called, the dark brown / black yarn, the Welsh Mountain, etc., which would have been perfect for the Czech sweater, Scottish Czech sweater from Isager yarn, which was also the reason why I wanted to get the book now in January, because I thought, okay, this would align perfectly then, but it was sold out so fast that I, like the yarn from woolentwine, that I wasn't able to get the dark yarn. But I mean, she might get it in again, or I might get some other yarn. It's not the end of the world. But I also got some other yarn from woolentwine because she finally had some green yarn in her collection. Though I love most of her yarns, she has a lot of warm tones, or like pinks and neutrals, and even though I love her neutrals, they are a lot, like, they're expensive, and I think especially like grays and beige I can get from other brands which are also sustainable, for a lower price, and they don't need to be hand dyed because they can be just they are just natural, the fiber color of the cheap, and I don't tend to knit with warm colors that much. So but this time she had a green and was also the one, or one of the people maybe, that was asking always for a green. So I felt like that I actually need to buy a green when she is putting out a green and I'm always asking for a green. Obviously it's not the case that I have to buy something, but I really wanted to buy a green. And what I got was the BFL Masham 4-ply, which is 75% blue-faced Leicester and 25% mid-brown Masham, and sourced and spun in the UK, and it's the color Forest. And I got 2 skeins, yeah, hanks, whatever, and yeah, I'm really happy with the color. So I only got like 1 skein from her until these 2. So I never bought bigger quantities of a hand dyer and plant-based hand dyer before. And I know obviously that there is a range when you dye with plant-based, because you can't really often get the same color, and you have some variety in the skein. I think you kind of see it on the screen that this one is way darker than this one, and this one has some variety in the skein, like this and this part are somehow lighter. And I mean, this is just what you get when you order plant-based plant-dyed yarn. I just need to now check out how you how's it called, like when you change skeins in the garment knitting, and because I have never done that, because I don't knit with hand-dyed yarn that much. Yeah, but I need to keep that in mind when knitting with these. But still, I'm very happy. Also, I was planning on holding this anyway with a mohair, so this way the variation in the skein and the differences between the skeins won't be so visible. I'm not sure if I really will hold this with this skein, with this mohair, because it is not that close as I was expecting it, and I think there might be even nicer mohair on the market to match this yarn, because this is way greener and this is more, I think this is more goes in the direction of the like artichoke or sage color. Like I think this is actually a more same color palette. So yeah, I got 800 meter, which is kind of a weird meterage. I thought about, I mean, I didn't want to get a third skein because it kind of would break my bank account, and also I thought I could do a colorwork sweater with this, because I don't want to do a shawl or something. I really tend to do more things I actually have a use for it, and shawls I don't really use, so I want to do a garment with it. So I can do a lantern with it, or I thought if I have some colorwork parts, I can do in a contrast color. I might get away with 800 meter when I hold this with a mohair and have a DK gauge, because this is fingering weight. So we will see, but I think this might lay in my stash until the summer or until autumn. I could imagine that this might be a very pretty autumn knit, or even a Christmas December knit, holding with a more like reddish yarn or autumnal yarn. So we will see, but I'm really happy with the green color, and yeah, we will see how I mix this up and in what project it ends up. So putting this here, I'm also considering casting on the what's this called, the Donegal Dk yarn by nervusfibre, and since this reminds me of the Cookie Monster so much, I thought about a duplicate stitching the Cookie Monster onto the sock, but I'm not sure about that yet, but I think it's a funny idea. And another thing I haven't talked about at all yet is my nervusfibre SADvent calendar. I think generally I mentioned before that I really like the concept of the SADvent calendar. Opening every day kind of a yarny package was really nice, but I think as a lot of people with their advent calendars, I struggled finding a purpose for these mini skeins. And I think I can't really, this is how it's looking so far. So these are double layered, so can't really show it at like all of them. Maybe I insert a picture, but I think I'll show you in groups. So there are a few colors that I might give away because I don't really know what to do with them. One is this orange, even though, or maybe I do like a pumpkin or something because it is really pumpkiny, but I don't really think this is like too orangey for my taste. So another two colors I don't really know what to do is this purple turquoise or petrol color and this very bright green. So these are colors I might give away. I don't even have knitting friends, or I think I might have one who might be interested in these. But yeah, I don't have friends, I think, who will wear them, like, and I wouldn't even knit something into socks with them. So these are the only colors I don't really know what to do with them. With the rest of the colors, I kind of put them into kind of groups. There's only like one, this one. I see this one not in a group, but I still really like it. It kind of reminds me of the beach or the seaside, and I think it would look really lovely in a sock as a contrasting color or in color work or something. I think it's very pretty, and the fading of it reminds me of mussels. Is that the right word? So yeah, I think it's a very pretty color. So these three are the blues. I think I need to put them down. Or somehow these blues. I will try to get closer. Yeah, this is more obviously with warmer tones, but it has like these grayish, greenish blue tones. This is like more bluish with yellowish, greenish tones. This is like very blue, and this is also already going into the purpley blue. And obviously you could make a fade like this, but I think this and this is too contrasty for my taste, so I wouldn't put them in a color palette. But I think you could do actually really nice gray jumper with a contrast with color work and do a fade with these colors. I think I'm calculated, and I think every skein is 80 meters, so I think you actually could make this work quite well. And I think especially these two I like a lot. I think these two are really, really pretty. They might even be my favorite colors. Yeah. So then you have these three. These are the warm colors, and you can definitely fit the orange in there, but I still like the same with the purpley. It kind of, these are more pinkish undertones, and the orange is very burnt orange, so it doesn't really fit in there. And yeah, I think the same. I could really imagine holding it with a red mohair, because I still have that red mohair, and making something like with a poppy flower motif color work thing. Yeah, not my typical color palette, but definitely not a reason to give it away. I think they are still very, very pretty, and I think having some reds in your stash can always be really useful, and I could actually imagine just doing socks with them. And now we get into what is the biggest section, and I don't know if I will hold them, make something like a project with all of them, or split them up, but this is like the grayish green section. And yeah, it kind of, yeah, goes from a gray yellowish fade into brownish, greenish, and orange into. And I mean, she didn't plan this as a fade, but you could kind of do a rainbow fade with them, but some really don't, some fall out of this fade, I would say. I try to make it a rainbow, but also I'm not a rainbow person, so I would rather have them in categories of green, blue, and warmer colors, and make it themed, like do something more like foresty vibe, or do something maybe like seaside themed, and maybe do something, I don't know, like yeah, flower themed. We will see, but I do enjoy these colors, but I need for all of these, if I do want to do big garments, contrast colors, or main colors basically, because these are contrast colors, or these are smaller projects, and I still have so many small projects on my needles right now that I kind of don't need to, or I don't really see the point of starting them right now. Another thing I got is a present, and it was a late birthday present that I actually got from my colleagues, and or not only my team colleagues, but like the whole department. And because since I had a round birthday, you get a birthday present from the whole department, and it's like a huge, quite a big amount of money, and you can kind of say before you get they get the gift what you kind of want. And I said I kind of wanted something with yarn, so maybe a voucher for the most local yarn store, or I don't know, for example, as I said, like my co-worker, she got a sponsorship for a seal when she turned 40. So, but I didn't know what I was getting, and my one of my co-workers, actually the one with the seal, she's a knitter too, and she got from her husband last Christmas, or for her last birthday, she got a spinning course. And the lady who does the spinning course, she's local to us, and she also does hand spun yarn, but on admission or on demand. Like, you go to her and tell her what yarn you want to get spun, and I actually got a voucher or coupon or whatever, how you want to call it, for that. So I get hand-spun yarn from her, and I have the option to tell her what kind of yarn I want, like if it's going to be sheep wool or actually alpaca, because we have a local alpaca farm here where I live, and so that would be options. And I think also the sheep wool is local that she is hand spinning, and also I can tell her then if I want to have it a 4-ply or a DK or I don't know. I think generally the colors are going to be the natural colors of the animals and not going to be in any like hand dyeing options or something, which is also what I prefer. But yeah, I was really amazed because I wasn't expecting it, and I didn't know that this is something that is local to me. And so I think it's really cool present, and I'm really excited to meet her. And I mean, I think I'm not really interested in hand spinning as a hobby, but I would love to try it out because I think knowing more about how the fiber I'm working is produced yeah, gets me more knowledge about how my knitting is working up as well. And so, but I think generally I think spinning might be a little bit too of a slow process for my liking. And also I think what I like about knitting is that it is so mobile, and I think that's also the reason why I rarely ever do like sew garments, because I get annoyed by a sewing machine so easily. And I think it could be the same with the spinning wheel or with a weaving stool, because I think what I like about knitting is that you are only bound to your hands and not the machine, even though it's not a machine, but to the technical part of it. Though I could imagine doing a weaving course, because I really like the finished product of weaving. But on the other end, I don't see myself having, is it a weaving stool? The weaving thing, the big weaving thing. I mean, not the small one that I have like from my childhood, but the big weaving thing in my flat. So, and there's nothing local to me where I can try that out. I know there are options in my area that I can rent it, but I mean, this is so, you're kind of limited. The same with a sewing machine. I would need to have an extra desk where I can like put it up and stuff like that, and need to have space to cut out fabric and stuff. And I think with knitting you aren't that limited. I just need a space to sit, that's it. Not even that, but I prefer to sit when knitting, and I can just knit at work, I can knit in the train, I can knit in a coffee shop. And I think that was a thing that drew me to knitting, and also that I can knit while being social, like hanging out with friends. And yeah, I don't know, that's why I could imagine never getting into these hobbies, even though I find them really interesting and like to know more about them. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting my hand spun yarn from my local spinner. That gets me to my future acquisitions plans, and I think this is probably one of the last acquisitions for some time. I put not a yarn ban, but a stop to yarn buying for me on myself. Not because I want to reduce my stash or anything. It's kind of not that. I actually would like to extend my stash in the field of sustainable and local or regional yarns. But I also got recently my energy bills for the last 3 months, and the the prices or the bill for the foreseeable future, and also some of the costs for my flat are catching up with me, and I just need to save up some money, especially since I'm planning still going to Cornwall in early summer, and I want to get a lot of yarn there. Probably, I mean, if I don't spend that much money there, that's good as well, but I do want to have the options there. I don't want to feel limited there and have like want to debate with every skein there, oh, can I buy it, can I not buy it, oh, I feel bad about buying it. Just want to enjoy myself there. And so I'm right now planning not to buy yarn for the months of February, March and April, and I think the next yarn that I kind of have to buy is the one for the May birthday girl, but I think it's enough time if I buy this in the beginning of May. Or I order it in the beginning of May. And yeah, I mean, I have so much yarn right now. I think I would be good until October to not buy yarn, probably even longer. So I think this is not actually a problem. It's more like that obviously there are a lot of nice offers and there are people putting out beautiful yarn, and I obviously are a victim to get attached to beautiful things and would like to get them as well. But I think since there are no yarn stores here, it's easier for me to not buy something. So let's hope for the best, and that leaves me more options than on holidays. And since I still have the yarn that I need to pick up then from my local spinner, there is yarn that I can get kind of, but I don't have to pay for it, which is I think a good compromise. And I think there's a lot of yarn that I rediscovered with organizing my yarn stash. I think that's kind of it. I think the sun is setting now, and I think I need to do an inhaling session to save my voice, and need to lay down. And yeah, then I see you hopefully all healthy and cured the next time. And yeah, so yeah, happy knitting to you, and I hope this was interesting. I also really enjoyed reading your comments as always, and yeah, leave some comments if you have questions or if you found anything interesting, and I see you soon.